As I mentioned, a number of organisations involved in today's session, and my name is Leon Pietchak, and I'm what's called a Youth Development Manager within Health Education England that sits in the NHS. And the objectives today in relation to what we're going to hopefully manoeuvre through and that you're going to take away in terms of the awareness of the variety of AHP careers and their importance, understanding the pathways and routes available into the careers, including higher education, meet fantastic professionals doing these essential jobs, and that's coming up very shortly, and answer any questions that you might have through the chat box and through the means that Sarah's just highlighted. And if we don't get through all your questions, what we will do is a frequently asked question sheet and some post information following that. But in terms of enabling this event to happen today, it's a big thank you to Shaping Futures, through Sarah and her team, through Health Education England, myself and a variety of individuals that are on today from volunteering and within the team. And then also our fantastic careers hub with the Liverpool City region in terms of the growth platform, and also our fantastic Sharon Blaney, who you'll hear from shortly, in terms of the Liverpool City Combined Authority in terms of the Health and Social Care Officer. Thank you. So why do we do these events? Well, who better to tell you than a student herself? So we'll hopefully get the video working.
For adult, I had an interview with Liverpool John Moores for adult nursing, so that's sort of done just before this. Yeah.
Amazing. So why do you want to get into nursing?
I think I've always known I wanted to work with people and like care for people and that kind of stuff. I think before I didn't know exactly for adult nursing. I was thinking of policing and all these other routes, but I think after doing more research and stuff such as that event that I did with you guys, I think it's definitely confirmed that it was definitely adult nursing that I wanted to do. I got to speak to some like actual nurses and they told us their stories. We did a few activities, you know, group debates, which I thought was quite good, getting different people's opinions. And we got to ask questions to not only adult nurses that have been doing that job for years, but to student nurses going through it. We also got told you know, different ways to get into that kind of stuff, whether it's apprenticeships, unis, you know, different routes and how long it's going to take. So, you know, through that, I found that university was definitely the route I wanted to take, and obviously for the right course. I think the advice given about, you know, what it takes to be that role and talking to actual nurses, you know, heard a lot about the 6 C's and different stuff. I think the advice was the main point of like what I took from it. That was the best part for me.
So the idea is that this coming event over the day-to-day will give you the same insight into the allied health professions and hopefully give you the necessarily answers to a lot of your questions as you move through the day. And also this programme is not just about a taste today, it's about a support mechanism, and we'll talk more about that as the day goes on. So while Sarah switches over to the main PowerPoint.
Yeah. So just a little reminder for you guys, we have sent out with the links for today just a pre-event evaluation. It takes about 5 minutes, and we'd be really grateful if you could fill that in. Loads of you already have, which is great. After the end of today, you'll get another email from me, which will have your aftercare, which we'll talk about later, and a post-event one. It just helps us to see where the event helped you, what you'd like the future events to do, and just make it really sort of effective and impactful. We want to do this to benefit you most, so that information is really important for us.
Okay, and as you can see, we're currently in the 10 to 10:30 slot, and we're pushing forward with time, and then we're moving into obviously the pathways through Sharon shortly, and then myself will take you through the values, behaviours and attitudes, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit of time at the end of that to do some questions and answers. And then as Sarah said, the future links will come through into the chat box if you've not got them already. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to invite Nisha, our fantastic first speaker, to join us this morning. So thank you, Nisha, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Leon, and thank you, Sarah, for opening this event up. And I'm delighted to be here. So thank you for inviting me for this. So good morning, everyone. And I am Nisha Agarwal, and I'm here to just tell you about my journey into the world of AHPs and how I'm finding it now, just to give you a taster, really. So first and foremost, I am an occupational therapist, and I qualified basically as an occupational therapist. But my present job, I am working as the lead for the Cheshire and Merseyside AHP faculty. And what that entails is that I work in a team to ensure that there are enough AHPs in the Cheshire and Merseyside region, because it's really important with the increasing demand for AHPs that we have enough people who are coming into the profession and staying in these professions, really, so we can get a high quality service for our service users. I'll tell you more about my role, but I'll take you through a journey first. So can I have the next slide, please, Sarah? Thank you. So any guesses as to where my journey might have began? That first picture should be a dead giveaway, really. Anything in the chat box that might come up, Sarah, please let me know. But if you haven't guessed already, that is the picture of one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal. So I grew up in India, born and brought up in India. That's it. Yeah, we've got a few answers coming there. That's it. So I lived only a few hours away from the Taj, and that's where I grew up in New Delhi. I went to school, and in India, we have to study till year 12. I knew that I wanted to do something which was to do with people, and I wanted to go in the health sector, and I knew that very early on, really. What I didn't know exactly was what I wanted to be in that health sector. I ended up taking subjects around biology, chemistry, but my favorite always was English. I did well in my A levels or equivalent of A levels, but then we also had to sit an entrance exam in India to get into any of the health sciences subjects. Through the entrance exam, I got admission into occupational therapy. And I traveled to live and work in the university, in the halls there. I had to study for 4 years for my bachelor's in occupational therapy, followed by a 6-month internship period, which was, you got paid to actually practice and rotate between various areas in occupational therapy. My subjects at university, we studied the usual health sciences. So we had anatomy, physiology, but also we had psychology, sociology, and a lot of OT theory as well, because occupational therapy was all about understanding why humans behave the way they behave. And it's all about the cultural influences that they undergo as well. I had plenty of placement experience during those 4 years. So basically every afternoon for 3.5 years, we were on placement. So plenty of hands-on experience, which really fit in with what I wanted to do as an occupational therapist. I couldn't imagine myself being at the back, behind a desk. I wanted to be with people and being really hands-on. And the course really gave me that. So this slide, I guess, is just to show you that, I studied in a different country, but then there are several routes of entry into getting into this profession here in this country, and there will be a route that will suit you as well. Can I have the next slide, please, Sarah? So another little pop quiz. Any guesses as to which year I might have graduated in? It was the year of the first Harry Potter movies, the first Shrek, the first Legally Blonde, 2011. Oh, I wish. 2001. That's it. Somebody's got 2001 in the box there. That's exactly right. 2001 was the year that I graduated from university after 4.5 years. And the world was, it seemed like everything was at my doorstep and I was ready to explore. Graduation then, next slide, please, Sarah. After qualifying, I had this itch that I needed to go and explore and travel really. And therefore I got an opportunity to work in the Middle East, in Kuwait. And that's where I moved with family. My first job in Kuwait was as an occupational therapist working in an inclusive school with children who had special needs. So children who might have had cerebral palsy or any developmental delays, etc. I would work with them in a school setting. I'd look at if we could get them better seating positions so they could write and feed themselves independently, or look at how their hands worked, or provide them any special equipment so they could write better. And there was a lot of obviously teaching parents as well. So I actually had to learn Arabic, or a smattering of it at least. But a lot of treatment was through play activities, and that was the best bit. You don't need a language for play. The children just engaged with a smiling face and lots and lots of play. I love that job. I did, because A, it was with kids, and B, it really got me to practice all the things I'd learned at university. So the culture was extremely different as well from India. But again, occupational therapy is all about understanding people's cultures and what motivates them. So the training I'd had really got me ready to work in even a different country altogether. Next slide, please. So no guesses here. I'm not going to ask you to guess where I moved to next. It was the great Northwest, and it was the great city of Liverpool. As I said before, I think I've got a bit of a nomad in me, so had to move again after Kuwait. Wanted a different experience, and got an opportunity to come to England to work in Liverpool. Now, can you see how careful I've been that I put the football club logos next to each other, not one above the other? Because this is Liverpool, and I'm not going to tell you either if I'm a red or a blue. I'm going to be very careful there. But my journey to Liverpool began because there was actually a shortage of occupational therapists in England, in the Northwest especially, and a few organizations actually came down to India to recruit occupational therapists. So I was one of the 4 who got recruited and then came over to England to start my journey here. So I call this another leap of faith. So my first leap of faith was when I moved to Kuwait to try something different. And then this was another one. So it's okay. Take your leaps of faith is really what my motto is with my journey. In 2006, so we packed our bags and moved here to the Northwest. And this has been home since, and I've worked across the Northwest as an occupational therapist. Can I have the next slide, please? So just to give you an idea of the settings I worked in, I've worked in mental health, so a ward with people who are having a difficult time with their mental health. I've worked with adults who have had brain injuries. I worked in orthopedics, so that was the job just before this current role I have. I was clinical lead in trauma and orthopedics in Warrington Hospital. And what that job basically entailed was I worked on a ward in the hospital with people who had fractures were admitted to. And my job was around looking at the occupations of these people. So occupation is really just a very fancy word for things that we need to do, things that we like to do, and things that we're expected to do. So for example, we need to get washed in the morning, we rest in the morning, we like to listen to music, and we're expected to earn a living or look after our kids. So really, we look at all those things as an occupational therapist. And my job meant that I was arranging people to leave hospital in a safe manner, so they could go home and carry on with their functions, really. I worked in the NHS since I've been in England, and I find that work used to be 5 days a week, but now we are working more weekends and evenings as well. But it's all done on a rota basis, so we take turns in the team to work these weekends, etc. You're not all the time at work, which is great. Next slide, please, Sarah. So that brings me to all AHPs. So occupational therapists are one of the AHPs. Any idea on how many professions do you think there are in the AHP world? You can put it in the chat box again if that's okay. So there's 20 that's come up, 150, somebody's put 40. Okay, thanks for all those answers. So there are 16 professions. Somebody's put 14, so you're probably the closest there. There are 16 professions that together fall under the AHP category. Now, when you are kind of doing any reading, you might see that it says there are 14 professional groups. And that's because sometimes they will group together the orthotists and the prosthetists as one group, and the therapeutic and diagnostic radiographers as another group. So that makes it 14, but actually it's 16 professions, and all have their own degree qualification. They're a profession in their own right. I'd like to then ask you, taking a clue from that picture there, can you name some of the AHP professions? I've already told you a few, but see if you want to have a go at naming some of them. Physio, paramedic, yeah, orthoptist, art therapist, optician, no, not that one, obgyn, no, music therapist, yeah, art and drama, absolutely. Dietitians, yes. Neonatal nurse, no. Okay, so if ODP, absolutely. Yeah, I think between yourselves, you might have got them all. So Sarah, if you just click on that slide, it should show all the occupations there. So that's the 16 occupations that come under allied health. So you can check as to the ones you've said, are they in that list or not? If we click again on that slide, Sarah, it'll show that we, the AHPs, are the third largest workforce in the NHS. Did you know that? You know, after doctors, nurses, we are the third largest workforce. And as I said before, each is a qualification. Is midwifery and neonatal care? No, they don't get classed as AHPs, but AHPs can work in the field of neonates, if that makes sense. So I'll come to that in a bit again. Next slide, please. That slide might be a bit small on your screens, but you can read more about it in the link that's at the bottom of the slide. And I'm sure these will be circulated, but it just gives a little overview of each of those 16 professions and what they do. This information is freely available. You can look it up as well. Right, next one, please. So what do AHPs do? What do we actually do? We're not doctors, we're not nurses, but we work in healthcare in a team to look at the whole person holistically. So not just as an injury that they've had a fracture or they've had any difficulties with their mental health, but to look at them on a whole and to use our skills to investigate or to improve or rehabilitate any function. What we can't improve, we look at adapting. We work with people from birth till their end of life. So at various stages, depending on where you work. And also in a variety of settings. So NHS is just one setting. As an AHP, I can work in the housing sector, in the council, I can have private work, I can even work with charities. AHPs also work in, for example, a prison system, and they can also get jobs in universities to teach as well. We work with people of all age groups, either while they're having an illness which is short term, which we know they'll get better, or it might be something that's long term and will stay with them throughout their life. But we can still work with those illnesses so these people can have a better quality of life. Next slide, please. So why am I encouraging you to be an AHP? Well, the first thing is, I can hand on heart, I can say, I love my job. I love being an occupational therapist. I always knew that I wanted to work with people where I could make a difference. I could do something tangible. Sorry, can we go back? Thank you, Sarah. So yeah, I find a great sense of satisfaction from when I've been working with a patient who then shows improvement, and that sense of satisfaction and fulfillment you get out of being an AHP is absolutely fantastic. It's a great profile as well. So this is a great time to be an AHP, where our profile is rising all the time because of the recognition of the job that we do and the difference it can make in people's lives. It's fairly easy to get a job. As I said before, demand is great, and you're very likely to get a job after graduating. Starting pay is around, when you graduate, you'll start off in the NHS as a band 5 AHP, depending on what profession you've taken on. And normally you work full-time is considered to be 37.5 hours per week. And normally pay can be starting at around 24 to 25,000 pounds before tax annually. You can look it up as well. You can Google NHS bands of pay and it tells you starting salary, etc. So that's a fairly good salary, to start off from. And the good news is that progression is great. You can go on to get paid quite a good sum of money if that's what you want. So there is a lot of progression. You don't have to stay being an AHP. You can go on to higher jobs, management jobs as well, if you wish to do so. So, I'm living proof of the fact that there are great home and away prospects with being an AHP. Remember those leaps of faith I was telling you about? The profession allows you to take those leaps of faith as long as you're open-minded about opportunities. I've never been out of work. I've always found work, whether, in India, in Kuwait, or here. So, that way it's great that you can always be working if you want to. And there's great variety in this role, and new roles are constantly emerging as well for AHPs. Future is really bright. No 2 days are same for me when I go into work. There's that much variety and I'm never bored. So if you are somebody who likes to just look at new stuff happening out there, this really is the job for you. It's great work-life balance. So as an occupational therapist, I've been able to take time out when I've had children to look after family and then go back into work as well. So it allows you to return to work if you ever had to take a break. I'm not constantly working. I'm able to spend time with my family and give time to work. I've got opportunity for part-time work as well. So if you are somebody who's got other responsibilities, this job allows you to have a good work-life balance. I've put skills for life there, and that's because the job itself, the skills I've got through it, I've applied them to my own life. When I've had a rough patch, I've looked at what I can improve, what motivates me, how to keep me going. I think it becomes, I'm calling it a job, but really it's a vocation. It becomes part of you. And lastly, I've had peace of mind, being an occupational therapist, in the sense that I know I'm not just going to lose a job. Being in the NHS, you get paid an NHS pension, which is great. You safeguard your future. You've got good job security, and there are policies to safeguard you as a workforce, especially in the NHS. So yes, there's great job security as well as an AHP. Next slide, please. I had to think of this one. I had to really think and dig deep on this one. So what would I tell my younger self if I was in your place, where you are in your journey at the minute, thinking about what you want to do? I would have loved to have spoken to an allied health professional. So I didn't get that chance. I didn't know anyone. And it was like occupational therapy, choose me instead of the other way around. But if given the chance, I would have loved to have spoken to a person who's doing the job. Again, I didn't have any chance of work experience. And I would have loved that in my younger days, I could have actually followed somebody or shadowed somebody or spoken again to somebody who's an allied health professional. I've put there, it's okay to change your mind, and it really is. You know, when I was younger, it all seemed very make or break. I've got to make my mind up and I've got to do it. If I don't, I'm going to be completely ruined. But it's not like that. Remember that life is a journey and you're allowed to make a U-turn on that journey. It's okay if you decide this is not what I want and I'm going to try something different. And lastly, be kind to yourself. I was very harsh. I was very, yeah, you've got to do this. But, you know, treat yourself like you would treat your best friend, really. And don't be disheartened if you get a setback. There are multiple routes into the AHP world, and there will be one that's suitable for you. And I'm sure the next presenter will talk to you about all those routes. So don't be disheartened, be kind, and I'm sure you'll find a way in there. Next slide, please. So yeah, that really was the end of my journey into occupational therapy. Thank you for listening, and I'd be happy to take any questions. Sarah, I don't know if you want to read anything out, and I'll try my best to answer them.
No, not too many questions yet. If anyone does want to pop those in the chat in the next couple of minutes, we can ask Nisha those. We've had the one about midwifery and neonates falling under nursing rather than AHP. So Winnie has asked, where did you take your work experience placements?
So Winnie, I actually didn't have the opportunity to in those days when I was in school. I wish we had the opportunity to actually do some work experience, but there wasn't any. I just did my own research, reading up about it, really.
That's great. Nellie has asked, is occupational therapy always through a degree?
Occupational therapy is a degree. How you do it though, I'm sure Sharon will tell you in a minute, whether there's apprenticeship routes now, or you could do a degree course here in university straight away. But I'm sure that will be answered in due course, but it is a degree, yes.
Yeah, Sharon is going to talk through some of the different pathways available. Rosie is interested in how you travel to the different places, like the job opportunities. So I guess, Rosie, do you mean moving around for them? Or if you can just clarify in the chat, that'd be great. Ella would love to know if there were any other AHP roles that you were interested in.
I looked at physiotherapy for a while. It seemed quite similar to occupational therapy. And I guess what tipped me to occupational therapy was it seemed more out of the box, and I could be more creative with my interventions. So yes, I looked at physiotherapy as well.
Hannah wants to know what the best part of the job is.
The variety of people that I meet. And what makes them tick. I love finding out what really motivates someone and why are they doing certain things, and that whole investigation into you know, their culture or how they were brought up or what their beliefs are. I find that so interesting.
Fab. And the last one is just Rosie was more interested in finding out about how you found the different job opportunities where you were able to move around a little bit.
With regards to moving countries, I don't know if you mean that, Rosie, but it was around just talking to people, keeping in touch with university, and finding out about job opportunities that are coming up, applying for interviews. I wasn't scared to just go for an interview. In fact, the first interview I went for the job in Liverpool when I was on holiday in India. And they actually told me that, you know, maybe I'm not suitably experienced for it, but I was like, just let me interview for it and see if I get it or not. I'm not bothered about getting it. I just want the interview experience. So yes, I went for loads of interviews. And with regards to finding jobs here in this country, if you're looking for a job in the NHS, there is an NHS jobs website. And you just log in there. Anyone can get an account. And you log in and you find out what jobs there are in your area. It's basically a search. You can put in what banding of job you're looking for, what region do you want to go and work in, and it'll show you the list of vacancies.
That's great. We have got a couple of other questions, but I'm just really conscious we need to start with Sharon's session. So if it's okay, we'll email these questions over to Nisha and send them in the FAQ, guys. Thank you so much, Nisha. That was great.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So we're going to hand over to Sharon now, who will talk through routes. And just on 2 questions in the chat, Melissa, it's absolutely fine for you to leave and reconnect. And we will compile all these links that are in the chat and send those over to everyone after the session. Great. Sharon, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Gosh, what a great start to today, Nisha. That was amazing. I was enthralled. So thank you for that. Hello, everybody. My name's Sharon Blaney, and I'm from the Liverpool City Region Combined Authority. And I basically help people to gain access to vacancies within the NHS and the health sector. Okay, so today I'm going to talk and share information with you about the apprenticeship route. There's lots of opportunities at the moment. I'm working with a number of trusts who have got apprenticeship opportunities that I'm sharing out. So, you know, they are there. Okay, so let's look at what they are and how you can become an apprentice to start your NHS career. Okay, so if we can go to slide 1, please. No, it's not that. It's not that one. It's the apprenticeships.
Right. I'll just pop forward to that one.
Okie doke.
Oh.
Back.
Not too sure what's happened to the slide. Sorry, guys. Do just bear with us. There you go.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So apprenticeships, what are they? Well, basically, it's, as it says here, it's an employer-led work-based learning programme within a professional occupational area. And what that means in simple terms is you can actually learn whilst you're on the job, while you're learning, whilst you're working, and you're going to be alongside experienced staff. So you're actually, it's a practical way of learning all about the job. Okay. There's approved routes through work-based learning and development, and they lead to a variety of occupational roles, and there's a wide range of levels. There's actually 350 job roles in the NHS, and as Nisha said, 16 of those are within the AHP side of things. Okay. They're funded by the apprenticeship levy, which is paid by employers. And what that means is basically your training, your apprenticeship will be paid for by the NHS. So there's no monetary input from yourself. Okay, they pay a levy, they pay an amount each month to support training people within apprenticeships, and that's what it's purely for. The small employers who don't pay the levy, they pay some towards, but the government fund a high proportion of that. So just so you know, but the NHS will fund your training, okay? So the next slide, please. Okay, so who can apply for an apprenticeship? And it's basically anyone over 16, not in full-time education, and existing staff who want to gain qualifications, because that levy can be used for new recruits coming in like yourselves, if that's the path you choose, or for existing staff who want to increase their knowledge and skills. And obviously, once you join an apprenticeship, as Nisha said, there is career growth, so you can work through different levels. And again, you know, that will be supported. Okay. So there's no need for A levels at this point. You can come in from a point of view of going straight into an apprenticeship, and we look at your maths and your English, but there's support for that as well on the programme. The exact length of your apprenticeship will depend on the role you apply for. So it's anything, you know, from 2 years upwards, basically, depending on the role, the area, and the setting that you're going to go into. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the degree apprenticeships. So obviously, Nisha was talking about going through the university route. So, you know, they're usually 3-year degree programs, and they're awarded by universities. The apprenticeship can be an alternative to university or college, because remember, what we're talking about is actually learning on the job, but you can aspire to a degree level apprenticeship along the route way. Okay, and there's no training fees, I keep saying that, and there's no student loans, so it's, you know, you're being paid while you learn and you train. They're a great offer to a start of a career. I'm very passionate about apprenticeships because I've worked in apprenticeships for the 3 years before I joined Liverpool City Region, and I've seen so many people develop from a starting point to completing their apprenticeship and then going on to higher things. So, and it's, you know, it's amazing the results you can get. So 90% of apprentices in England remain in employment after qualifying, and 71% stayed with the same employer. And when I speak to the trusts that I deal with, basically that's around people who are committed to the roles, who are getting the great training and support from the NHS, and they feel as though they want to stay. Okay, as well as the other benefits that Nisha mentioned, the salaries and the variety and things like that. But, you know, there's some good points to share with you. Apprenticeships can provide a pathway. They start at level 2 and they work towards the profession. For example, you start as an apprentice healthcare support worker, and then you can go on to become an apprentice nurse if that's the route you want to go to. But there's other routes as well. Okay, thanks, Sarah. Oh, not
Shall
that
I
one.
put back to the earlier slides?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Just a little bit of animation there.
Okay. Oh, so we'll be going with this one then, so the routes, yeah. So Nisha mentioned there are different routes. I know we're speaking about apprenticeships today, and this slide is quite small to read, but I'll just go through the headings and just give you a little idea of how you can approach things. So you've got the employability programs, and that's where basically they can be 4 to 13 week programs where, you know, you're supported with your learning, with blended training around options within the NHS or the healthcare sector. I know Prince's Trust, they also support young people and offer free training and support with Routeways In. So that's one area. Work experience is another one. And I know Nisha said she didn't get work experience. My daughter did. She's joined the NHS as an OT, and I arranged work experience for her just to get some feel about, you know, was she like it? Is she something she wanted to do? You know, and that work experience in different settings helped her decide that she did want to do it. So work experience is a good one. We're a bit limited at the moment because of what's going on in the hospitals with the pandemic, but essentially we're looking at virtual opportunities as well. So we've also got T levels, which are open to 16 to 19-year-olds, and they're educational work placements to gain skills, and they're coming in this year. Then we've got supported internships, and on there we're saying, you know, between 16 and 24-year-olds with learning difficulties or and autism. There's up to 1-year programs there. The return to practice one, it won't be relevant for you at the moment, but say, for example, you left a career in the NHS or in healthcare and you wanted to go back, then there's an option there for you to return and be supported back in. Then we've got traineeships open to 16 to 24-year-olds who are not in education, and that lasts for can last for up to 6 months, and that's with a work placement again, so that's hands-on experience. Okay. And then we come to Kickstart, 16 to 24-year-olds, 6-month work placement, and for those who are on universal credit. But these Kickstarts are becoming very popular at the moment as another opportunity in. And then we come, you know, the apprenticeship route, which I have explained to you. It really is a serious option for you to join from 16 and progress through. Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, this is, again, it's around routes into the AHP careers, and there will be a lot of opportunity there. I know it says there reach for the stars, but one of my lines is always shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. And I think, you know, these professions are those stars for me, having personal experience of working with them, and my daughter being one. So there are opportunities there, so we can send these links out for you for further for you to have a look at. Okay, and the next slide, please. Okay, so these are resources that you can tap into, and I know it's important to do your research, you know, have a look at opportunities, speak to people in AHP, listen to our speakers who are coming on later, who will share their stories with you. They're all individual stories, and they've all got, you know, great information to share with you. But check out resources before you make any decisions, but it'll help you to gain information, and, you know, you can ask any questions along the way. Okay, so the next slide, please. And I know we'll be sharing these slides, so you can have a look at it in a little bit more detail. Okay, so there's more ways than you think, there's more routes in than you think. So let's just look at the one here that says no formal school and college qualifications first, because maybe that's where we're sitting at the moment. Okay, so let's just look along the pathway there. So you can go in as a trainee healthcare assistant, and there it's saying level 2 functional skills. So ideally we look at your maths and your English, and if you're not at a level 2, which is equivalent to, I'm told it's a grade 4 or 5, in my day it was the C O level, then we can support that learning on the programme, on the apprenticeship programmes. Then you could go down the route of an assistant practitioner, and you can have a look at these roles, you know, do a little bit of research. Then if you want to go further, you've got your degree apprenticeship for the AHP, and then you qualify, okay? And then along the bottom, we've got the Prince's Trust programme, which is a very good programme to follow. You've got the MVQ level 2 again, and they run that for 3 months, and that you can lead on then to the healthcare or therapies assistant in full-time employment. Moving on again, if that's what you want, to an AP, an assistant practitioner, and then again onto degree, and then qualified. So it's all about where you want to go. And as Nisha said, you can change your mind at certain points, but it's good to do your research first. If you're somebody who wants to stay at school or do your A-levels and wants to go down a different route, then you've got that route way above there. So if you have your A-levels, obviously choose the correct A-levels for the programme that you want to go on to, or the degree. So you can look at the 3-year plan, which is the one my daughter did as an OT, and then she qualified. And then along the bottom there, you've got the other options of a healthcare assistant, assistant practitioner, degree, and qualified again. So lots of different routes there to sort of help you. Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, so there's lots of information out there, and it's really important that you tap into that information because it'll help you to make your decisions. You know, we've got online free resources there from health careers, stepping into NHS, finding an apprenticeship, amazing apprenticeships and apprenticeship guide. So register on the Find Apprenticeship website and look at what are available. You know, there are, as I say, I'm actually working with organisations and sharing information of what is available, and there's more coming out this Friday. Sign up to receive live vacancy lists from the National Apprenticeship Services. Start seeing what's more common, where there are more job opportunities, and find your niche there. Okay, Sarah. Okay, use social media. I'm sure you do. Well, no, Twitter, Facebook, all those platforms are very useful. Follow apprenticeships, health careers. They're there in front of you for Twitter updates. The NHS apprenticeship vacancy snapshot. Have a look at that. There's a link there to bring you the very latest information about vacancies. And I will say to you, once these vacancies are advertised, they do close very, very quickly. So the key thing is to get your application process in mind, get that and your personal statement, because those are the key things that they look for. Then you've got higher and degree 2020 vacancies with the gov.uk website. Again, there's another link there for you to have a look at. Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, so where do you find vacancies? You can find them on the NHS website. Yeah, they get about 20,000 adverts every month. The vacancies on the gov.uk website again, and NHS website. There's no fixed deadline when it says applying for apprenticeships, but essentially they do, once they get to a certain number of applicants, they will have to look at, closing, because essentially, you can only have a look at so many opportunities. It's an online application. There's no CV at all. It's all about that online application, and it's very key. I'm speaking to the trusts at the moment, and what they're saying is, Sharon, just make sure everybody knows the application process is key to getting the interview. And part of that application process is your personal statement. So please look at, the transferable skills that you've got, look at the values that Leon's going to talk about, and make everything that you talk about have an example of how. You can tell them the what, but also tell them the how you can demonstrate that. And the key things they look at are communication, time management, because we're in a very fast moving environment at the moment, customer service skills, and if you've got any care, the care experience, whether it be personal, with family or friends or whatever. Lots of hints and tips online, and it's good to do a practice application. I'm sure you'll get help from your teachers and whoever is supporting, and obviously there's aftercare on here as well. So any information you need, it's all there. Please tap into it. But I hope that helps you all, and if you've got any questions, then fire away. Okay.
So we haven't had any questions just yet. If anyone wants to pop those in the chat for Sharon.
Put multiple links in, followed what Sharon's PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Each of the links that Sharon's mentioned have been put into this, and then also those slides will be sent through to the students as well, Sarah.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm hoping that the fact that there's no questions, I covered everything. But as Leon said, you've got the...
Oh, we have got one question. Are there any apprenticeship opportunities to become a paramedic?
Yes, there are.
Yeah, and you'll be hearing from them.
And we have got a paramedic today, so that'll be brilliant. We can share that.
Great.
Thank you, everybody, and good luck.
Okay, so we'll pop back to Leon now to talk through some of the NHS values content.
Brilliant, thanks, Sarah. I'm just conscious of time, so we'll get straight into it. And thank you, Sharon, for bringing it nicely into this final session of this first day session. In terms of what we're looking at over the next 5 to 7 to 8 minutes, we're going to be looking at values, behaviours and attitudes, which ties directly into everything that Sharon spoke about in relation to your personal statements, which is your kind of first steps, and then how you can translate your personal statement information into additional information within application forms for health and social care roles. But before we do that, I just want to show you a quick video, if possible, please.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, just admitting somebody
Okay.
else.
Amy, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No,
PowerPoint?
no,
Publisher?
not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter, you know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri, tell me this, Siri, find me that. We're all good at getting you the answers.
Tell Siri, I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand
What don't you understand?
what you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8, like in the morning, 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah, that kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pumps, skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot, but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes, I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Take the day off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, just move over to the next slide.
Okay.
Amy, it
Oh,
says
we're
you
going to do it again. So what's that video got to do with the NHS? Well, key aspects within everything we do within health and social care within the NHS is that we are what's called a value-based recruiter, and in which, whilst we look at, in terms of your qualifications that are very important, we want to look at the whole person through a values-based aspect in terms of a framework of a scoring system. And that looks at how your values align with the NHS and health and social care, and then that we hope that you have, through our information that you provide us, demonstrate that you have the right attitude required for the role, and most of all for you and for us to achieve and be successful in providing the right patient care for everybody. And alongside that, it enables us to measure and identify where skills that you need and how we can develop you and how you can support the system and how the system can support you as you develop as a professional within health and social care. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so In relation to this slide, Lucy, are you available or?
I'm here.
Brilliant. Okay, so Lucy's going to take you through this. Welcome everybody to Lucy.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of experience recruiting into roles into the NHS across all the roles, and we really do look at the key constitutional values of the NHS that it's been around for a very long time, and we've built these up over many years. So if you take a second to just look at whether you regularly treat people with respect and dignity, you understand that every person matters, if you're the kind of person that won't walk past someone in distress, these are the kind of values, compassion, and support that we look for in every single member of staff. We would regard every single member of staff as an ambassador for the NHS. So whether it's not your job to do something, the kind of people we look for are the ones that still do it and go above and beyond the general public, really, and those kind of key skills and attributes are what we always look for. So it's worth bearing that in mind and proving that in your interview and your personal statement via some kind of volunteering activity or real life examples that you can give. Thanks, Leon.
No problem, Lucy. Next slide, please, Sarah. I'm conscious of time. Yes, so how do you translate your values, behaviours and attitudes into not only those 6 core values within the NHS, but each of the trusts and health organisations will have their own individual values as well. And you may feel, whether it's talking to a 13-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 44-year-old, how do we translate what we do in everyday life into our personal statements, into our application forms? And all too often we see a lot within personal statements and so forth about your academic aspects, which is fantastic, but we also want to see that rounded person and what makes you you. And for example, I helped my mentee the other day apply for a role as a healthcare scientist, and she had, well, through pet care, had a rescue cat, and we demonstrated in the application form how pet care can identify with the values required within the NHS. And that fulfilled part of the criteria that enabled her to score high. And then the other aspects are around friendship. Do you support your friends? Have you set up groups? Has someone broke up and you've been able to support them in some way? Are you belonging to any sports, activities, hobbies? What are you reading at the moment? Events such as this, where you will receive a certificate of attendance. Are you able to go online and look for the variety of different opportunities around virtual taster days that may maneuver into longer 3-day or 2-day work experience opportunities? And one of the key aspects we want you to take away from this session is that you don't necessarily need to have physical in-person work experience because of COVID and the situation that we're in. And the amount of young people that we have on these 1-day taster days and the 3-day work experiences, we're not capable or able at this point in time to give everybody that work experience. So in relation to all these types of opportunities, it's about recording what you do. Even if you're thinking about babysitting, and I'll steal that one from Lucy, and things like that, but whatever you're doing that's enabling and developing within the community, that can be put towards your future application form. And it's really, really important that you give us a true sense of who you are. Next slide, please. So yeah, just building on that. I mean, obviously, for myself, I wasn't very academic in school, and I had to develop later in life and obviously obtain English and maths and went to university. But I was the first person in my family to go to university and never really considered that as a route way. But through mentors and encouragement and systems such as Shaping Futures enabled me to succeed and obtain a degree. So it's very, very important that you look at what educational route way is good for you. And that also includes, obviously, looking at your social media, because every employer looks at your social media. Well, I know that may feel like it's spying, but they give you a good insight into who you are and what organizations you're a part of and what type of person you are. Next slide, please. So again, a number of opportunities there. And as I say, I can't reiterate enough how important it is to look at all these different things in your everyday life and how you can include that within your personal statements and your additional information. You may have a part-time role, part-time work. I know that's difficult at COVID at this point in time, but any one of your part-time jobs can be converted into those values and demonstrating whether you're a waitress, waiter, whether you work in a shop. The customer services aspects are essential in health and social care. Next slide, please, Sarah. Sorry. Okay. So if there are any questions, I know we're running late, but in terms of the key messages from me, in terms of what I'm constantly asked, is to demonstrate your passion, your enthusiasm, and to be motivated towards learning and developing yourself, and also what you can provide for health and social care. And most of all, also, when you come into working in health and social care, what can we do to help you to develop yourself and the others around you? Thanks very much.